Yo, what's going on, people? This is Jelani Hashim Bracy, CEO of your favorite nonprofit, Black to Life. I'm back again this Thursday for another edition of the B2L Kickback. I got my boy with me again, Demetrius Dotson, out of Atlanta, Georgia. From the crib, though, from Starkville, Mississippi. Known him for over 30 years. So we're going to get on here and have some conversations, man. About how to enrich and to uplift our Black community. And some of the things we talk about are some of the detriments in our society, but we also want to talk about some solutions, possible solutions that we think we should implement. So let's get this started, man. Today's topic, if you can see it on our page, is basically we're talking about cultural conditioning. And we want to, we're going to start off right now with Demetrius. He's going to let y'all know what cultural conditioning is. So,
okay, I looked up the definition of cultural conditioning. It says the social process in which authority figures such as parents, professors, politicians, religious leaders, peers, and the media define our cultural values, beliefs, ethical systems, and ultimately the way we perceive ourselves in the world.
So basically, it's basically a set of systems that have conditioned your mind, that are set up, that are come from leaders and elders and people of influence in a society that actually rule what the societal norms are. That's what I'm getting from that. They actually like tell you what is acceptable. So for example, like the rules are set up to where in this country, we drive on the right side of the road without even thinking about it, without any kind of hesitation. You get in your car, you're gonna drive on the right side of the road because you're conditioned to do that because of how you've grown up. So that's an example of cultural condition. It's basically things that you do without even thinking of it. So we were talking about something. I wanted to discuss some things that the Black community is just culturally conditioned to do. Basically stuff that we do that we don't even think about. And I wanted to start off by talking about how I think we always jump to the side of a lot of us jump to the side of not trusting one another, and would rather rely on other means or other people or other information. For example, with this, everything is buy Black right now. It's a real heavy push buy Black. Every time something happens that's detrimental to our community, that's very traumatic, whether it's police killings or lynchings or vigilante violence such as Ahmaud Arbery and Trayvon Martin, we always get that sense of camaraderie and togetherness for like a split second. It's buy Black and it support Black for a minute, but then it kind of dissipates. And I think that's because of convenience. And we talked about that last week with Saba when she was joining us. And ladies and gentlemen, Saba is out this week, but she said she'll be back next week to join us again. And her voice, just want to let her know her voice will be missed this week, but we can't wait to get her take on issues next week coming up. But like I was saying, we talked about that last week about being convenienced. Sometimes you got to inconvenience yourself to go out the way to actually break this cycle of cultural conditioning. For example, there's a Black gas station in Arlington, Texas that I went to for the first time yesterday. It's like 40 minutes from me, but I was out, so I was just like, I'm going to this gas station to get gas and to get some snacks or whatever else I needed. But I'm culturally conditioned to just go to the closest gas station, because that's convenient for me. And there's nothing wrong with that, because in this culture you're conditioned to find convenience. That's why we fly places instead of drive. That's why we have microwaves. That's why we have things that get it to us kind of quick, because we enjoy that convenience. So it's convenient for me to stop by other gas stations and other stores. But I made a point to go to this young lady's store in Arlington, Texas. It's a black lady and it's a black on 7-Eleven. She got two of them actually. So I went to both of them and bought some from both of them. So that's what I'm saying about the cultural condition. To break that, we have to think we got to inconvenience ourselves out of our convenience because we're set up the way this world, the way this society is set up to it's set up for us to be able to bypass those things and actually, you know, get what's easier and like I said, convenient for us at the time, which may be an inconvenience to us and our people and our movement at any amount of time.
Hey, to pick up where you left off when you're talking about, I guess, supporting black businesses. Uh, I think we are culturally conditioned to not give our businesses um, the benefit of the doubt. I'll say it like that. A lot of times, we as African Americans might go up in to a African American business, and maybe we don't get the service that we want. Now, at that moment, we don't get the services that we desire at that moment, and we are done with it. I mean, I've heard it several times. Someone say, "Hey, man, I went to this business. They did this. Man, I'm done with it." But on the flip side, we go to white establishments all the time, and sometimes we're not treated the way we wanted to, or we targeted in some of these establishments. But we continuously go to these establishments because I think we are culturally conditioned to go to these places to buy certain brands. And we tend to give those people the benefit of the doubt and still come back to these places. I think we got to get out of that mindset of just immediately kicking our own to the wayside when something uh, may not happen that's up to our taste when we visit a business. And sometimes that might be the case. But like I said, we're very quick to give the other establishments uh, more of an opportunity to redeem themselves. But our own establishment, as soon as something happens, man, that's the end. So I think we need to train our mindset a lot more to give ourselves more of an opportunity to prove ourselves and not just be done with ourselves just like that.
And unfortunately, sometimes it takes an event as such because we have lost that communal feeling that we've always had. And I'm gonna come back to that because I think that's another part of our cultural conditioning of our identity of who we are. Like we lost that communal feeling of who we are as a people. And to your point, that's why that occurs because of the convenience. We're used to being, hey, this happened, that happened, but we frequented these white-owned establishments so many times that, like you said, we're willing to give the benefit of the doubt. And as soon as you go to the black establishment, you expecting, pristine and on point, like, and you should like. But what I'm saying is, you should understand also, like things happen, and that was just your day. You know what I'm saying? Like this is not the norm. Maybe that was just a day that happened. And to your point, there was this snow biz. I saw this on the internet. It was a snow biz. I forgot where the place was. Not snow biz. That's where you used to work. My bad. What I'm trying to Smoothie King. The
Yeah.
Smoothie King was a black owned Smoothie King. I can't remember where it was, but this day, particular day, it was this young man described an incident where it was one young lady behind the counter, and there was a lot of people coming in, trying to trying to support the business, getting, ordering things, and she was bagged up, and they saw the frustration on her face because they was coming in, she was by herself, she doing this, she doing that, the frustration was on her face, and all it took was the people to just be like, "Hey, baby girl, don't even worry about it. We got time. We here." And the brother said she immediately, like the stress was alleviated off her face. They could see it just leave, and then it took you a little bit longer to get your smoothie, but everything worked out fine. And that all that took was patience and love. And that's our coming back to that's us as a community from Africa. Like that's who we are. Like we've always been a communal people. We've always taught community. You know, all our proverbs, most of our proverbs are about community and about giving and about taking care of the whole village. So America has culturally conditioned us in a capitalistic mindset to where it's one on one, every man for himself. If you can't, if they could do it, you should be able to do it. You know, so you expect the best out of every. Well, and ain't no wrong with expecting the best out of everybody. There's no understanding behind that expectation. You know, in America, it's like kill or be killed. You know, dog eat dog, and that's not who we are as a people. And that's another that was going to my point of identity. We are culturally conditioned that we have left our identity, like who we actually are, our language, our our, uh, our knowledge, our arts, our foods, our customs. We to in order to be accepted as an American in this country, you have to assimilate fully and actually just you know leave whoever you are behind. And you know and since we were put here, you know we were culturally conditioned, and I'm talking about the Africans that were brought here because there were many of us here already as the indigenous people. But still with that, when the first European invaders came to this country or came to this land, because it wasn't a country, it was a land. When they came to this land, they culturally conditioned their culture to be on top and to subjugate the natives and the Africans that they brought over. That was the cultural condition. So as an identity, if you're saying that you're an American and we are all born, well, me and you, we were born here. So that is our citizenry. We are Americans by birth, but our culture is African. And we lost that through the transatlantic trade, through slavery, through Jim Crow, and even today. Uh, but we haven't completely lost it because the elders and people that came before us, our ancestors, they were able to pass these down and to keep, you know, a relevant history of us. And we retold it. It was retold by more than one, it was retold by many. So, like I said, that's a part of our culture, storytelling, like passing stuff down. Like we kept that on, and that was a crucial part of our culture to hold on to. So like I said, is our identity, man. We are a communal people, and in this country, you are forced. Like if you're gonna be an American, you're forced to be like dog eat dog, like step over somebody to get whatever you need, and that's just not who African people were or are today.
Well, to get on another subject, since you know we're always in the political realm and we're in political season because an election is coming up November the 3rd. Uh, of course, we are conditioned in this country to either be Democrat or Republican. Really, no in between. There's really no such thing as an independent. They're still
You
gonna
know who
vote
you are.
one. Yeah, they're gonna vote one way or the other when it's all said and done. They still gonna vote a Democrat or a Republican when they bring a bill up. But of course, uh, black people have been conditioned, probably until up to Barry Goldwater, to vote. Well, prior it was the Republican Party, but of course Lincoln freed the slaves, and we were a Republican Party for the longest. Then came along Barry Goldwater, and he was espousing some of the same hatred that was being espoused by the Democratic Party at the time. He was a Republican, so there came the switch. So Democrats went, Republicans, black Republicans went to the Democratic Party and vice versa.
Yeah, because the
So
Dixiecrats came
yeah, yeah.
to the Republican Party. Yeah.
So the Republican Party is filled with the original Dixiecrats. So for all those people that always keep saying that uh, the Democrats was a racist party, uh, no, yeah, it was the Democrats, but it was the white racists in those parties
Yeah,
that
we need some more adjectives to
yeah,
that.
yeah, yeah. We don't
Yeah,
need to just leave that open for interpretation because then you tend to confuse people.
because
But
I'm pretty sure
yeah,
there were no black men that started the KKK. I can be pretty sure of that. Pretty sure.
if they did, they were very confused, maybe some type of mental disorder. Something was going on
Man,
that would not allow them to exercise their full cognitive ability at
right.
that time. So going back to what I was saying, we have been conditioned to vote Democratic. Well, in my opinion, that there's a reason. Now you have one party that espouses personal responsibility. Uh, uh, what else? Pull yourself up by your own bootstraps. All these things that, in theory, if you practice those, is helpful to everybody.
In theory.
Yeah, in theory. But when you put those things into practice, which most of the time, when it's actually exerted on the people, uh, there's one group that benefits more from those theories, and the laws that are put in place are there to benefit those groups. Now, just say one party, which is the Republican Party, says uh, personal responsibility. Now, in my opinion, one part of personal responsibility is to try to make up for past uh, detriments to a group where you have that group to say, oh, you have things on the book like affirmative action. Now, if you for personal responsibility and you have uh, laws on the books like affirmative action that are put there to bring some personal responsibility on your part to stem that tide of lack of jobs in one area, then at the same time you come back and say you need to get uh, rid of those. These are the reasons that black people stay culturally conditioned to one party, and you might have a couple of bad apples here and there to assimilate over to the Republican Party. But if you listen to them talk, most of the time their views are right in line with those people that are really a detriment to us. So there's a reason why we are culturally conditioned, and I think rightfully so, because hey, neither party is perfect, but it's obviously obvious that one party you can get at least some type of benefit, and the other party is a pure detriment.
Yes, like to that point right now, the Democratic Party is and it has been, it's been up, to me, it's been up for grabs for us if we would just, use that power. Like we can actually turn that into a party for the people, a party about the people, especially in the time now. Like I, everybody feels like for some reason, and it's a lot of optic and what they call it token, a lot of token sentiments of uh of equality sitting out there, uh trying to take build trying to change names of buildings, uh army bases, trying to tear down signs. Like, we want Breonna Taylor's murderers arrested. Like that's what we want. We want, Ahmaud Arbery's killers to be justly convicted. Like just because they got arrested don't mean that. We need them to be convicted. You know what I'm saying? That's what we need. We need these officers that killed Brother Floyd to get justice. You know what I'm saying? That's what we need. That's what we ask for. And these little, they talking about they gonna sing, lift every voice and sing. I think the first four games in the NFL season, what they gonna find out? A lot of black folks don't even know that song. That's what they really gonna find out. They gonna really find out a lot of black people don't even know that song. But like I said, it's virtual signaling. That's what they call it now. Virtue signaling. Just to show you something like, hey, look at this. While we ain't doing nothing on the back end to really do any kind of change. So yeah, you're gonna sing, lift their voice and sing for four games of the year. Like, what does that mean, man? You know what I'm saying? Like, what you gonna sing? We shall overcome as well. Like, we want justice. We want mass incarceration to stop. We want systemic racism to be over with, and we want the abolishment of white supremacy, like all over the globe. That's what we want. That's what we need, and that's non-negotiable. Like that's it. But America, with identity, when we were talking about, America actually understands its identity. And that's why America will always be in conflict with us as a people, because they understand America and they speak it. They're America's like the elected leaders. They speak about America in terms of supremacy for white people. Just listen to what they say. They say the real Americans, the heartland. This, that, and the third. They're not talking about us. They not talking about the urban city. They not talking about brothers like me and you, sisters like our black queens. They not talking about them. We're not included in none of that. And so that's the identity, and that's gonna always be a problem. So going back to my point, in order for you to be accepted like wholeheartedly over here in this country, you have to just fall in line, lockstep and barrel. You just got to go with America is the greatest country ever. You got to continue that lie. You got to uphold those principles, and you're knowing, like you actually notice, because we've seen no proof. We have seen no proof that life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness is offered to every citizen in America. We have never seen that. Never seen that. And this country is 200 and what, 1776, what's that, 240? 244? Yeah, 244. And we've never seen it in 244 years. But they keep saying nothing's gonna happen over time. I mean, nothing happens overnight. Well, nothing happens over time either. It seems like.
Yeah.
So my whole thing with the identity of cultural condition, I want black people to understand who we are, and don't be ashamed of that, and understand it's if you need to be something. We tell our kids this, and we've been told this before as children. If you need to be, or if you need to, do something to make somebody else feel good, like to make yourself feel bad, to look bad, to make somebody else feel good, you don't need to be around that person. We tell our kids that all the time. Don't be following up behind so-and-so. They make you look crazy. Don't do that. That's not you. That's my whole point. America is not us. Like, we fought in every war. We've died in every war. We fought for every right. We've died for every right. This still, and when I say it's not our country, I mean by in law. Like, we have nothing that binds us to this country but our blood. Like, our blood binds us to this country. Like, I'm not saying as black people you don't have claim to this country. This is where we at. You know what I'm saying? We over here, and this is ours. So we gonna make it happen. But what I'm saying, we have nothing that actually protects us. The Constitution is not for us, or the Declaration of Independence. And those are the two things that unites America as a whole. Those two documents right there actually set the precedent for who America is. And once you understand we are not included in any of those documents, then you will understand that you need to know who you are. and then you will act culturally appropriate as we should. So
Well, I think since we are here and we were born here, uh, most of the people that are here were born here that are African American or uh, came here from Africa as immigrants recently. Um, I think it's incumbent upon us to get into the political process now, since um, the Constitution or the Declaration of Independence, it wasn't for us. But they have these things called amendments. So, meaning that things can be put into place, and I think that's really where our inaction has happened. Like you said, we have marched for all these different types of rights, but we really haven't had anything put in permanent stone. Not something that they can come back and appeal. Like, can you appeal the Constitution or the Declaration of Independence? I
I don't
mean,
know
you
what you
can't.
can.
You can, I guess, in theory, if you overthrow the government and just burn it up and start back over. That's the only way. So we need to get to that point where we're demanding things that are in law that cannot be repealed. Uh, that we're able to enjoy all the fruits of our labor. Um, everything that can be afforded under the Constitution, we should be able to enjoy it. We should have that right. But it all starts at the ballot box. I've heard a lot of people, and I was just surprised of how many conversations I've had with younger Black people that say they never voted before in their entire life. Like, that's unbelievable to me that you've never voted.
Well,
And then,
if you look at I don't even mean to cut you off and let you go right back
yeah,
to it. If you look at how voting is promoted, and we do a poor job in our communities of promoting voting. I'm a take that on. But if you look at how voting uh commercially promoted, it's promoted for every 4 years. So think about it. How old are those people that you're talking to? They may be like 22, 25 or something, 30. So
yeah, in
if
that
they
age.
waiting every 4 years, they've only missed like what, 3 elections. So to their mind, they didn't have a chance to vote, but every 4 years, because they're not thinking on that level of. Now I ain't saying they didn't, but a lot of people, because of commercially, the Senate and the House, they're not as publicized as the presidential races. Those 2 year term races, I mean, those every 2 year races aren't publicized. The local races aren't publicized as much. But commercially, like worldwide, nationwide, oh, you know who's going for president? That's every 4 years. And you got 4 years to get yourself together. So if somebody 30, what? They've had, going by that logic, they've had three chances to vote because of 18 to 12 years. So yeah. So in their mind, like you're looking at it like, damn man, you ain't voted in 12 years. And they like, man, I only missed the last 3 elections.
Yeah, but that's a lot, though. A lot has happened. A lot of
Exactly.
legislation has been passed.
Yeah.
A whole bunch of things can happen between a 12-year period that can affect your life. So, to your point, I think there should be a lot more significance uh, starting at a younger age, explaining the significance of voting. We don't really don't put too much emphasis on voting. You don't. I don't remember when I was in school them saying
I
anything
was just
about
gonna
voting.
ask you. I was just gonna ask you. I don't remember that either.
but but I can remember my parents and my grandparents. My parents kind of grew up in the age right at the tail end where you didn't really have the rights to vote. My granddad, he didn't have the right in his day and age. They didn't always have the right to vote, so they knew the importance of voting, what it actually meant. So I think we need to do a better job in our community about explaining what the right to vote. Well, really going back further than that, what happened? Why do you even have the right to vote in the first place? What was happening prior to you getting the right to vote? What does that mean? So once I think we have educated the younger people to see where did this right to vote come from and what it means, then I think it can put more of a significance in their mind uh, the about the importance of voting, because you hear it all the time. Man, what am I voting for? Man, my vote don't count. Okay,
Yeah.
if your vote didn't actually count, look at them. Why are they always putting measures in place to prevent you from voting? That should click in your mind. If your vote actually does not count and it does not mean anything, why are measures uh, from the very beginning when we got the right to vote, right after the freeing of the slaves? Why have they always put measures in place to prevent you from voting? So get that out of your mind to think that your vote does not count. It actually does count. So, but we have to do a better job at the ground level, indoctrinating our kids in a sense to say,
Got
hey,
to.
look, you need to vote. Because if you don't vote this, you complaining about this. Well, this is the reason this is happening. People are complaining about district attorneys in your town. Well, there's a reason he got voted in. You complain about the sheriffs, he got voted in. You complaining about the judges, they got voted in. All these things on the local levels that are immediately affecting your livelihood. Somebody had to vote to put them in the office. So when you got roads in your community, you got potholes, uh, you got bad lights, or you got a stop sign that needs to be put into place. You got people that are actually in power that are that's their responsibility to make all those things happen, and they were actually voted in. So don't think that your vote does not count, because it starts on the local level and then it spreads all the way up to the national level where your vote actually counts.
Yeah, it's as simple as what you were saying, those daily activities, driving, uh, your mail, your judges, your just your local officials. It's basically as simple as, man, do you care how clean your water is? Do you care how clean your air, your quality of air is? Like, do you care about your streets, how your neighborhood looks? It's people, like you said, that are put in to places of power that make these decisions. So it's almost like you said, you got to indoctrinate them. Like we have to let our children know. Like I would, my parents made me, hey man, 18 years old, you gonna vote. Like, and I voted in the local election. Like even when I was in college, voted back to the house. Like what was going on at the crib, because I had to go back home. My mom was still there. My sister, like people I know, was still there. So you got to take care of your environment, like where you came from. You, like when you leave and go off, you still are responsible for your spot, for your place. So we have to put that education in our kids, and
But that,
even us. Like we got to talk
yeah,
to each other too. There's
yeah.
some people our age that will say, "My vote don't count. It don't matter." And I'm with you. If it didn't matter, literally, they wouldn't kill to take it from them.
Yeah.
They kill. They literally kill people to stop them from voting. Because guess what? Right after slavery, what did we do as a people? We put the first black senator in Congress, Hiram Revels from Mississippi. Mississippi. And you know why? Because when the enslaved population was
Got the
set
right to
free, got the
we
right to vote,
we outnumbered.
we outnumbered them. And then what happened after that?
Black
Jim Crow.
codes. Yeah.
Black codes first,
Yeah.
then Jim Crow.
Yeah.
There it was. Like they was like, we will kill you to take
And
back this power.
and currently after Jim Crow, okay, recently we had our first black president. All of a sudden, after he becomes inaugurated, what happens? Oh, voter fraud. So now we need voter ID laws.
Cultural
Here,
conditioning.
here we go again. So if people think that your vote doesn't count, they're constantly doing things to prevent you from voting. And on another note, going back to the culturally conditioned, like you were saying, are you uh, uh, do you want good good air, clean water? One party is saying, man, forget all of that, man. This stuff, it's a hoax about climate change. So some people are culturally conditioned to vote that side because they actually believe that. But we are culturally conditioned to vote Democratic. These are ideals and values that they, put to the forefront about clean air, clean water, and those types of things.
Yeah. Hey, we got a viewer that said she believes celebrities should also use their platforms to encourage people to vote. And that may be a good. I think that's a good idea. And I just I would I wish people with influence would use their platforms more responsibly. So when I say that, I'm talking about even us. Like we need to always be responsible how we use our platforms. Because
Man, you're a
while
celebrity?
no,
I'm just saying.
in my own mind, in my own mind, but no, but yeah, some people know me. A couple people know me. Few,
Yeah.
yeah, but no, we're closer to our community than a celebrity might be,
Yeah.
even though that'll be something, it's something that we can see and it can be easily grasped. Hell, we are too, and we in our own community. So I think while it would be a good gesture if celebrities did that, and it would be a good gesture if we thought people with money would do a whole lot more things, but we can't tell them what to do with their money. And we got to be in the trenches because it's us. No matter what, it's gonna have to be us. But thanks for that little thought.
Yeah, but hold on. Going back
Mm-hmm.
to celebrities now, you
Mm-hmm.
know, celebrities have access to millions of people. And a
Yep.
lot of times, uh, uh, sometimes to the detriment or sometimes to a point of help, whatever they say, people tend to take it as the gospel and go with it. So it does help when a celebrity gets out there and say, "Hey, vote." I remember what was it? P Diddy had the "Vote or Die"
Yep.
campaign back going when Obama was getting elected. Jay Z and Beyonce, they got involved with his presidential campaign. You don't think that helped get him elected?
Yeah.
They part of popular culture. So a lot of
Oprah.
a lot of young people, a lot of people that hadn't even thought about voting, all of a sudden saying, "Hey man, I need to get up and vote."
Yeah.
So I think it does help uh, when celebrities do get involved with promoting voting. But like you said, it starts on the ground level with people like us, where we have to, be out in the streets with the people, uh, telling them, "Hey, man, we need to really get out there and start promoting voting amongst ourselves."
Yeah, because my whole message to the people is no matter what nobody else do, we got to do something. Like we can't stop. You know, uh, one of my favorite. I listen to Urban View on Sirius XM 126, and it's this brother named Joe Madison, elder elder statesman of the civil rights movement. He got a radio show called the
I know.
Black Eagle. Yeah,
Yeah.
and one of his most famous quotes. I don't know if it's attributed to him or not, but I hear him say it a lot. He says a lot of people. He said everybody can do something, but a lot of people don't do anything, and that's true. Like I really believe that's the crux of our one of the cruxes of our problem is like we don't do anything. We sit back and wait for the next person. Somebody got to start somewhere, and it may not be a lot, but you know what? It has to be done. So you got to get in there and do it no matter what. Like if we don't if we can't get another city, you know, to give out books to. If we can't pass out to more than 20 cities, we're gonna go to them same 20 cities and pass out books. Like, we're not gonna stop, trying. We're not trying. We're not gonna.
All right.
Yeah, my bad, man. How far? What was I? Did you hear what I was saying?
No, we kind of ran into a lot of technical difficulty.
Yeah. What was the last thing you heard me say? Because you was just stuck at one time.
Yeah, you were too. No, you were stuck.
I was
Man,
talking away.
they hate. Man.
Man, already, man.
Yeah.
Dang. Stopping this knowledge, man. Golly. They own us, bro. They own us already, man.
They coming, dog. They coming.
Look out the window. Look out the window. Man, all of a sudden, though, that ain't never happened before. Like, seriously.
Never happened.
And none of my other devices kicked off, but we back anyway.
Yeah, but that really just keep us.
What was the last thing I was saying? I remember saying that that as a people, as a culture, we have to. It takes us.
Yeah.
No matter what nobody else is doing, it takes us to bring us up out of our conditioned mindset. And I wanted to go, unless you got something to say, I wanted to go to the education point of that part. Unless you had something to say about that.
No, nothing else to say.
So look, so education is also another way we are culturally conditioned, and it starts from the beginning. Like, in education, we are taught, one of the first things you're taught, to pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. You said a complete lie. And like, we tell our kids, don't lie all the time, but we send them to school, and if they say that every day, they lie every day. But that's not their fault. But
you gotta understand, justice for all is up for interpretation in their mind. When they wrote this, it was justice for all, but that all certain type
all that counted.
Yeah.
All that counted. Yeah.
Yeah.
All that counted as a person. Yeah, that's another cultural condition mindset, and also of who we are as a people. You can read books. There's several, even Texas history books. And I know this for a fact, seen the Texas history books. And I think I haven't seen the latest version. They may have changed it. But Texas history books used to have, and I think they still have, that African immigrants came over as indentured servants to help the colonies thrive. It also says that books also teach, and this ain't Texas, this is I remember when we was growing up, that slaves, they said they went to Africa to get slaves. So in your mind, so there's slaves over there? Because when you go to the store and get some water, you're going to get water, and you're going down the aisle where water is, because that's what water is.
Yeah.
No, you're not getting nothing else but water. So you went to Africa to go get slaves, because that's what slaves were. They lived there. Slaves lived there. We're not taught that these were astronomers, physicians, doctors, lawmakers, elders, kings, queens, just basic business women. We're not taught that. We're taught people that were uncivilized and that needed some democracy. That's what we're taught. We're taught that these people needed to be taught something different. And then we're taught the people that were in this land, the indigenous people, were savages. And I really feel that the reason that they were called savage, because when you call somebody savage, and you coin that term, you can treat them savagely.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what the European invaders did everywhere around the world. And another thing with the education part, even and this goes back to our identity. Anytime you talk about native, original, aboriginal people, like anytime you talk about those things, what do those people look like?
They look
What they
like
look like? Anytime you talk about somebody that's original from somewhere, an
yeah,
aboriginal person, a native person, what do they look like?
they definitely don't look like the people that invaded the place.
My point. Well, we aren't taught that we aren't taught that we're everywhere.
Yeah,
You know, we were all over the place. That's why everywhere you go, you see original people. They're darker. They're
yeah,
darker skin. They're dark. They have a tint to their to their tone. They got that melanin in them because that's us. Like the European, the invaders, the ones that went around and colonized the world. That's why they went around and colonized the world. They had nothing. Like there was no place for them. They actually made a place where people were. Everywhere they went, they made places, and then they usually took the culture and took the culture in, like took pieces of the culture because there was no culture from those people.
yeah,
And now if that passes down from generation to generation, then you look at yourself as the uncultured one that you had to learn something and to be taught because you didn't know any better. And that's just not true. And we need to teach our kids the greatness we came from. We need to teach our kids the the power that we have and that we exude and that we've always had in this world. And it was taken and it was quelched from us, but it's still within us and it's not gone. We just got to respect for it. And the way we respect for it is to teach it and pour it into all of us. Every brother we see, every sister we see, we need to uplift them and our children as well.
yeah. You're right. We're definitely culturally conditioned to, I guess, it was when it comes to education to think a certain way about ourselves. And I think we kind of touched on this last week. I can remember as a kid looking in, especially Mississippi history. Now, when you looked at the pictures of slavery, there was always this white lady and this white man. They were dressed up in a tuxedo, and she was in a nice fancy dress. And you had like the black people dressed in like a butler suit or something. They like helping these people into some type of carriage or something. Or they standing out in front of a big house, and these people are dressed up in these in all this type of fashion. So if you see how you culturally conditioned to think, in my mind, slavery looked like it was a romantic thing. Like when you saw the pictures, like seriously, it wasn't. What really helped to dispel that myth was when I saw
Roots.
Roots,
Roots. Roots
Roots,
shook it
man.
about you like,
Yeah,
man, what in the world?
when
Yeah,
I
Roots threw me
yeah,
off.
yeah, when I saw Roots, that dispelled that whole myth. I'm like, wow. So all of this stuff that you were that I was taught in Mississippi history and all these books and stuff where they uh active slavery was, like I said, this romantic, amazing thing that these people were enjoying themselves, enjoying being slaves. Man, still to this day, you can find books where you have these caricatures. Let me leave that word alone. But
Yeah.
basically, basically representations
Yeah.
of falsehoods that really don't exist. So even as today, like I said, we have been culturally conditioned to just by pictures up in books. And going back to what you were saying in Texas, I remember I think it was somebody sued. I think what was that in Texas because what did they put up in the in one of the history books? I forgot what else, history or social studies books about
Indenture service.
yeah, that's what it was. Yeah,
they call them indentured African indentured servants.
yeah, instead of slaves, like they
Yeah,
put a nice bow on it to make it sound good.
yeah. I
So,
don't. Yeah,
but
it's
this
crazy.
all this does is help perpetuate uh the myth about slavery. And dude, I actually had a conversation with this white guy uh here in Georgia. You know, a vivid conversation. You would be amazed at some of the myths that are still out there about black people, that we actually came from animals, and that the number one thing, black people own slaves too. Uh, of course, you might have a couple of idiots out there that thought that they could own slaves, but it wasn't like there was a whole community or a whole state of black people owning slaves. Like it wasn't they trying to act as if there
That
was.
was our thing. That's
yeah,
what we
yeah,
did.
yeah, we were owning slaves at there was an astronomical amount of black people that were owning slaves. So these are the things that are still floating around here, uh, that some people have been culturally conditioned to still believe, and uh, they won't they won't stop believing. And going back to another point, you were saying that there's a lot of tokenism that's going around here, removing Confederate monuments. I think personally, there's tokenism, but I think there's the means to the ends of whatever, that you need to remove these statues, because all the virtues of racism, it needs to be removed. If you go over to Germany, you don't see any statues of Hitler, all these other dictators that have caused havoc in those countries. They remove all those statues, so there won't be any reminders there to promote any of this racism, that you see this as you go research and say, oh man, who is this? And the next thing you know, another movement is started off this stuff. So I think it serves well when you get rid of these statues and names and all these things. Get rid of them. All of them need to go. The whole
Yeah,
system needs to be burned up and torn down. If you're gonna change the system, you got to start at the bottom, and at the bottom sometimes includes statues and monuments and all those things, and names on buildings. They need to go.
oh yeah. So I just want to clear it up. I agree with you 100%. They need to come down, but I see it as that's what America or whoever is doing. That's what they think we want. Like the oppression and the racism and the systemic problem of white supremacy has been going on long before they even put up a statue. So I don't want them to think that just because you bring a statue down, no, you have centuries of bull shit you've been doing. That's what we talking about. Like
Yeah,
don't forget that. And I think they with the virtue signaling, how they call it now, they think they're taking these statues down. Like yeah, all right. Then they gonna go back to business as usual. Like nah, ain't no more business as usual, man. It has to stop. It has to stop now, bro. Like it can't keep going that way. It's bad for our health. Like we cannot let this stand anymore. And like we were saying last week, it goes into our children. We have to pour it into our children and each other, man. Like we can't worry about anybody else. And I want to make it clear too that all these facts that I was dropping about, like when I was saying that no one that how we're native to the whole world, like these are facts. Not don't want anybody to think that we're attacking anybody from European culture or anything, but no, it's facts because you cannot point to anywhere in history where like these people are actually from. Like everywhere they went, they were invaders. It was everywhere they went, it was somebody there. And that's just the facts. So as a part of that, they savagely destroyed these cultures and actually assimilated them into their own. And that's just facts, man. And you know, people get mad about it all day and then say whatever they want, but black people are the original people of the entire planet. And that's just everywhere you go. Like they say, the darker, I mean, they say the deeper they dig, the darker we get. You know what I'm saying? The deeper in the earth they go, the lower they go, the darker we get. Like the oldest skeletons and fossils are of us. You know what I'm saying? Are of people of our origin. So that tells you something. Like we were everywhere. You know, we were everywhere. So we need to teach our kids that. We need to teach our kids that, you know, your genesis in life, in existence, is not as an African American. Honestly, in me traveling the world, I ain't been everywhere, but I've been a couple places. I've been to some black places, a lot of, you know, black culture. I've been able to embrace myself with, or been able to embrace on my travels, and in talking to many people from Africa, the Caribbean, the Dominican, places like that. They all tell me about the word African American. The first place they ever heard that was here, and every last one of them I talked to, they told, and I'm just saying from my experience, they told me that they would prefer to either, like, just if we're gonna say something, just be black, like we're you know, you're just black, like that. That's it. Because, and I understood that, and I know a lot of people say, well, black is a color, my skin is brown. I understand what you're saying, but black is something that unites us no matter where we stand in the world. You could be Afro Latina, Afro Cuban, African American. You could be Jamaican. You could be Afro German, whatever. Australia, Aboriginal Australian, like wherever you are in the world, black will unite us as one people. And so that's why I like to actually call myself either black, or I'll go and just say African. I know a lot of people say, well, I ain't from Africa. I ain't never been to Africa. All I am is American. And I understand that thought process. But do you understand what you're saying? True, you have never been to Africa, don't know nothing about it as far as the physicality of it. You ain't never been. But do you understand what you're saying? Like, you're actually promoting yourself being an American, and as an American, the entire existence of America was to have you as a subjugated servant. So that's what you saying you are. And and like you said, ain't nobody that we know been slaves, but mentally, man, if I keep you up here, I'll always keep you a slave. Like, you got to think past 16, 19. You know, we got to think past that. Got to think past 1492. Like, we were gods, man. We still are. Like, and like I said, no disrespect nobody else, because I speak only for us and about us. And I speak love into us, I speak power into us. And that's irrelevant of anybody else. You know, I feel like black people, we have our destiny in our hands, and it's up to us to mold and educate and to get out of this culturally conditioned state of being proud to be an American. Like, what are you actually saying you're proud of? Are you proud of being a rapist, a thief, a genocidal maniac? And I'm not talking about people today. Like, I ain't talking about, you know, you walk around. I'm talking about the genesis of this country, your founding fathers. This is what these people did. At the same time they fought for their freedom, they actually had enslaved people in their country. Well, and they stole land from other people, killed millions of people in order for this country to be what it is now. I'm not proud of that. I'm not. And I'm not going, I don't see why. what about America? And you can answer this too, but this is what I ask myself. What about America just makes me want to be like, oh man, that is just such a it's amazing. Like, whoo, it's the best thing ever. What makes you think that?
You want me to play devil's advocate?
Yeah, if you want to.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, what about America that makes you want to, jump and shout, if you want to put it put it another way?
Yeah. What makes you want to act like it's
well,
just
well, this is the only country that, you know, you have the freedom of the press, the freedom of religion, the freedom of speech, uh, all these things that are in the Constitution that allow us to be on platforms like we are right now. Like we could be right now in China. We could be in China espousing some of the things that we're saying about uh, China. There's some people in China that feel the same way we do. We have these conversations about America. There are people in China right now that I dare them to to get on social media right now. Somebody would be busting through the door, taking them out, and they would never ever be seen again. So, so there are even America in its most distorted state, or immoral, as immoral as it is. When it comes down to it, right now, this is the only place where, even as immoral and all of the stuff that has happened in the United States, this is the only place where you can go from nothing to something. You can uh, create a platform like this. It materializes into something immense. So I'm just playing devil's advocate, but I can
oh yeah,
see
yeah.
I can definitely see on the flip side of, when you think about the origins of America, uh, what it took to get us to this point, and we still have an enormous way to go. That the things that have transpired, especially when it comes to Black people, what has happened to us, I can see where that sentiment comes from. Like, what is there to be proud of? What am I supposed to be proud that uh, Black people were murdered, raped, killed, subjugated, uh, Jim Crow, uh, black coded, all these things that have kept us in our place and kept us under, somebody else had their uh, foot on our neck literally the whole time that we've been here. So I can understand where those sentiments come from. But when we start to speak like this, there are other people. When we give our opinion, they'll say, "Hey, man, you saying you hate America?" We're not saying we hate America. All we're saying is speaking the truth about America. Now, if the truth, where the truth lands and it sounds like hate, it's the truth, whether you want to acknowledge it or not. It's not hate, it's only speaking the truth. So,
Yeah, and see, I'm a and what I and what I have a problem with, and to your point, I have a problem with. I do have a problem with America. What I don't have a problem with is the idea of America. See, America, and if you ever hear people differentiate that, the idea of America was the perfect utopia. Like everybody could come here, everybody could, have the freedom to do this, to do that, and everybody could make it, and live happily ever after. Life, live in pursuit of happiness. That's the idea of America. But with that idea, you have to trample over people's rights, take somebody's land, bring other people over, and do some work that you didn't want to do or couldn't do or wasn't able to do because you weren't skilled enough. Like I don't, I'm not proud of that or don't like that. And to your point of being able to speak my mind, to speak our minds and to be having a platform like this, I'm not gonna give America credit for doing what they're supposed to do. I'm supposed to be free. I was born free. You can talk about what they're doing over there in other countries and how they're oppressed. Okay, my heart goes out to those people, and I think that needs to be changed. But I'm not gonna be thankful because I'm not going through that. Like I'm not supposed to. I ain't supposed to go through that. Like I shouldn't be like thankful that I could, walk through the front door of an establishment without going through the back. I should be able to do that. I'm not gonna be thankful because I'm able to get a job and be able to be on the same playing field as other people. I should be able to do that. But to your point, this is one of the only countries that allows, that those kind of freedoms. And but I don't think they should get credit for doing the right thing. That's like I take out the trash or I feed my children. I'm supposed to do that. That's supposed to happen. And that goes to a word that I have a problem with too, that tolerance. America teaches tolerance. And if you look up that word, that means, I don't accept certain things, but I'll allow you to because, just for the greater good. Like, what about me you got to tolerate? So to that notion, yeah, I get your point, and I get the devil's advocate point. That's really the devil, real over there talking that, because I never said I hated America. I just said I had a problem. And that is, if you over there saying that's you the devil's advocate. So yeah, you sticking up for. So what I'm saying is I ain't never said that I hate America. What I say I got a problem with America because it doesn't live up to the ideal that it said it stood for. That it said it was all about. It has never lived up to its promise. Martin Luther King Jr. has said this, Malcolm X has said this, Marcus Garvey has said this, Shirley Chisholm has said this, Fannie Lou Hamer has said this, Harriet Tubman was saying this, Nat Turner was saying it. How many people got to say we saying it? Like, no, you don't get credit for being subpar.
Well,
America's subpar when it comes to race relations. And to your point, my bad, I'm gonna let you get on it.
yeah.
To your point, when you was talking about we've come a long way. Who's come a long way? To me, being the first black anything is a scratch of the surface. Like we ran this. We ran the world. So because I'm the first black or the only black person or those little milestones, I understand and to be praised because it's a to me it's a praise to who we are as a people to be able to come up out of that bull crap and to be great. But the progress is on this consciousness of America. Because think about what America was built on, how America thought and still thinks that we're lower than and white supremacy is up here. Like that's what America is built on. So America is the one that is, and America is not even progressing at that because it's still at that level. But when you say, we have a right to vote, we have the rights to, basically to live life. Like that's not progress. That's the bare minimum. That's like saying, I'm taking the trash out. Man, applaud me. Take the trash out. I'm supposed to take it out on Tuesday and Friday. That's when they go out. Like that's the bare minimum. I don't need. Yeah, I'm feeding my children. Oh, man, you're a good father, man. You feeding them kids. What else I'm supposed to do? So yeah, I don't give America credit for any progress of humanity because they broke from that out a long time ago. Like this country has never been humane. So that's how I feel about that one. Oh, I know. Oh, did you have anything to say about that?
No, no, I'm
Oh
good.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, man. I think that's gonna be it for tonight, man. We been out here hour 15 strong, brother.
Man, that went by quick, man.
Yeah, it did, and we got a little technical difficulties. I'm gonna have to remix that video. How long were we stuck like that? It's for a minute.
Stuck in. We can thank Mark Zuckerberg and the Chinese government for that.
You probably. Shout out to Mark Zuckerberg.
My
No,
God.
man. But I know. But yeah, man, we want to leave everybody tonight with just we're talking about cultural conditioning and our identity of who we are and our education. And all that is tied into one. Let's educate our kids, let's educate ourselves on who we are and get out this culturally conditioned state of mind of America. Because America literally inherently puts us last. So let's get out of that mindset. I'm not saying you got to leave the country because everybody can't leave and go nowhere. I ain't saying that start burning American flags and nothing like that. No, I'm not saying none of that. But what I am saying is that learn who you are, love who you are, and teach that to your people. That's it. Get out of this cultural mindset of what the norm is. Because normal ain't gonna work for us people. We cannot go back to what they call normal. We can't. It was literally killing us. Can't do it.
And to pick up where you left off, I think, as he said, it all starts with us. It starts in your personal home, your personal communities, within your immediate family, your extended family. All of this knowledge needs to be disseminated amongst ourselves, and it all culminates to, help position ourselves mentally to be able to overcome the situation that we've been in for so long. So, for the people that's out there, hey, I hope you all enjoyed our conversation tonight. We'll be back here at the same time, same place with another subject, and hopefully tonight was a subject that has enlightened the people.
Right on, man. Like your hand said, man, the revolution will not be televised because the revolution will be in the mind.
Exactly,
So we out, man.
for
We are
sure.
out. All right, man. Holla at you.
All right, God
My
bless.
people.
Yeah,
Oh, God bless you too, brother. And
yeah.
God bless the people out there. We out. Peace.